Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another top 5 video. This was a video that has always been a popular video on the channel, and now we are into year 6, so we're going to be going over the top 5 defenders here today. I want to start off with the defenders, and I'll do the attackers in the next few days whenever I get a chance to do that. So these are for all players. I don't try to do new players or pro players. You know, meet me in the middle somewhere and we find ourselves in like ranked, and ultimately this is just my opinion. You can't really determine a best operator because some people might be better at one operator while the others might be better at other operators. So it's all opinion at the end of the day. But anyways, let me know what you guys think or what you would change once you get the list. And we're going to get right into this, starting at number 1 or number 5. Doesn't matter how you look at it. They're not really in a particular order. But in this case, the number 1 operator is Mute. And there's no question about it. I actually think this is the best defender in the game at the moment with everything that is happening with the meta. Now, a big misconception with Mute is always that you have to use shotgun SMG 11, which makes this more of an advanced operator because it's hard to control the SMG 11. While that's somewhat true, there's no reason why you can't use the MP5K now that it has the 1.5 times on it. It makes it a completely viable weapon. Even though it has lack of damage, it's still a completely viable weapon. So don't feel like you have to use a specific type of loadout or anything. Use whatever you're comfortable with. Now, yes, it's best if you use the SMG 11 and the shotgun combo. You get the best of both worlds with range wise. But the real reason we're playing Mute, we all know this is because of the Mute jammers. We could go down the list of everything it counters. I'll name a few off. The first of which is obviously drones. You can counter all drones. You could also counter hard breaches. Don't highly recommend that, but it's better for drones in my opinion. But you're able to ban a lot of direct operators as well, such as the new operator Flores. That drone can be muted. Same as Yana, you can also jam that. Some like to say, what about Mozzie? But in my opinion, it's not even a comparison because Mozzie can only capture 1 per pest that he puts down. Mute can jam literally the whole team's drones, plus has all of those other counters that we've mentioned before. So we're going to move on to the next operator, which is one that we just did a spots video on, and it is Mira. So Mira is absolutely so OP in some spots. Now, it's not always viable on every single location, and that's a reason why I don't put it on the S tier per se whenever I'm thinking of tier list wise. But from an operator overall perspective, Mira on a specific map is genuinely so overpowered. It's some sites, it's some maps she's not that good at, but the maps that she is good at, it's just ridiculous how many spots you could set up, and plus the vector with the pre-firing. There's not any other operator like it in the defensive side. It's a really unique operator, really fun operator. So if there's any of those operators that you guys have been playing this game for a while but don't have this operator, don't play this operator very much, this is one that you should use to just switch it up a little bit. You get to strategize a little bit more. I know a lot of people get tired of Siege because they stop doing strategies and run around like it's Call of Duty, and the reason why Siege is fun in the first place is because of strategy, because you can move the map around. And for the most part, minus maybe a few operators where you just have to put something down and let the round go, you could really strategize around anything, and the next operator is no different. That is Smoke. Now, I get it, it's a little hard to learn the SMG-11, and you really need to know the SMG-11 to be able to really do well with Smoke, but that's all. You really just need to learn that and learn strategies. If you want a little basis point of where to start with strategies, I would check out the Smoke video. That's all 4 Smoke strats. Now, I know at this point, we've done Mute, we've done Mira, and we've done Smoke, and those are the top 3 operators. That's not planned, but those strategy videos will give you a basis point of how to play these operators. And for these new players, the ones that are asking me for these videos, you're usually asking because you want to know what operator you should be playing, what operators you should be buying, and these are the ones that in my opinion I think you should buy. And all 5 of these, once you have these all, you literally could play no other defender and still be a-okay. But as a rule of guideline with Smoke specifically, always have that deployable shield out, always play some sort of strategy where you're able to block off stuff. With Smoke, you don't want to waste all of your smokes right at the beginning. You want to keep at least a few of them and play for that area denial. That's the main goal here, is we want to deny an area completely. Say everyone is trying to push blue construction and basement of Oregon. We could basically gatekeep them out for the entire last minute of the round and make them rush in at the last 10 seconds, and we could just mow them down. That's the lovely thing about Smoke, and that's also a lovely thing about Tachanka too. Now Tachanka is getting a buff in the recent patch notes. Tachanka's time is going up, so both these operators should be played similarly, but I think Smoke really takes a cake whenever you compare them to each other. Now the next one's kind of a two-parter because it's like one or the other depending on a ban and depending on the scenario. But so far we got our Mute jammers, which are great for multiple reasons. Intel denial, potential breach denial. We got Mira, that's a great area denial type operator. operator usually has to shift a whole attacker's mindset whenever they're going into something. And then smoke's the same way. You got the area denial plus plant denial as well. But one key thing that we are missing is a lot of our own intel. We got the intel denial and the space denial, but we don't have our own intel. So we got to think of a few operators. When you're thinking of intel, you probably think of 2 operators mainly. And for me, it would be Maestro and Valkyrie. You could also make a case for like Echo or some other operators, but for the most part, we're talking Valk or Maestro. Now, you guys know how much I like Valk. I have a whole series on Valk cam spots, but I got to go with Maestro right now. The Maestro cams can be so powerful. Plus, you get an LMG with pretty much the capacity to kill the entire team in 1 mag or even half a mag. You got 80 bullets in 1 magazine, basically no recoil. Late round, this is pretty dumb. You have this paired up with a smoke and you're just living large because they're not going to be able to plant. They're not even going to be able to enter the site most likely if you just hold down left trigger or right trigger on console, I guess. And just to put the icing on the cake, you have the bailiff, which is able to make rotation holes, and it's a pistol, so you don't have to hold impact grenades. So there's just so many powerful things about Maestro, and it's like one of those operators that you almost have to pick every single defensive round and just learn good Maestro spots. I'll have a video out maybe next week. I got all my videos planned for this week, but you know what? I'll promise it here. Next week, we will have Maestro cam spots for you guys, and they'll be good for certain setups, and you can learn Maestro a little bit better because you can make rotation holes. And then it's really just about where you place your cams, place them in good spots where it's harder for them to be impacted. So that's number 4. I do say though that it's either that or Valkyrie because I don't think you have room for having both of them on the team. From a whole team composition standpoint, you really do only have one space for one intel operator for the most part. In ranks, you can get away with multiple, but if you're trying to win more games, you're going to need probably to only have one of the two. But Valkyrie is a great operator as well. And now this last operator really put me in a headlock here because I need kind of to have a hard breach denial, but at the same time we have mute there, and Mira is one of those operators that is going to be transitioned out for most likely that hard breach denial. But one operator that we always need, or one thing that we always need, is an ADS of some sort. So that takes us down to Wamai versus Jaeger. Now I just want to point this out. I'm making this after I see the patch notes where Jaeger is getting nerfed yet again, but it just does not matter because Jaeger is needed everywhere. Now yes, you do sometimes need to double stack your Jaegers due to the cooldown timer change, plus now you have less magazine size and you're slower than you once were, but it doesn't matter because you need Jaeger so bad and you need his ADSs. Wamai, in my opinion, is not as good. It's still pretty good. You compare the two together and it's just really good, but Jaeger is still the fan favorite here, and it's still my favorite personally out of the two. And that for me mostly is because Wamai, you have to be more strategic of where you place it. You kind of have to play around them sometimes, but with Jaeger, it's just set it and forget it. You just put them in a good spot. You don't really have to play around them. Just protect your teammate from nades and stuns, etc. Now I do want to address one thing though, is what about that hard breach denial? Yes, you could use mute for it, but I definitely think it's not as necessary most of the time because they're just going to get through it anyways. So it has become more of just a time waster if anything, because there's so many ways to get around a Bandit or even a Kaid at this point. But if I were to have to pick one, Kaid, you guys know he is best for the hatches, definitely best for the hatches, plus having that 1.5 times is really nice. But Bandit, he's really just that core operator and he's always been really good. Bandit tricking is still somewhat viable, but yeah, I just had to include those in there so no one freaks out because you kind of do need a Bandit and Kaid in some situations, so I did want to at least throw that in there. Now who else would you add or subtract from this list? I think this is pretty solid lineup. I mean, if I was stuck with this, Mute, Mira, Smoke, Maestro, Jaeger, and most rounds we're going to be all right. Even if Mute has to take on that breach denial role as well, I think we'd still be all right in the most situations. But as I said, I think Mira is that one operator that's kind of a flex type operator, and that one can be changed out with anything and it would just keep the composition really good.